The Pittsburgh Steelers' expectations versus reality took a drastic turn this offseason. We went from expecting Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, and George Pickens to just DK Metcalf. So, this is just starting to click right now, because when looking at the beginning of the offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers made a drastic move, trading for wide receiver DK Metcalf of the Seattle Seahawks. And when they did that, we thought it was to pair him next to George Pickens and have two number one wide receivers. And also, we expected the biggest rumor of the offseason, Aaron Rodgers, is going to be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's going to be the one throwing those two guys the football. But in reality, none of that has happened. George Pickens got traded, Aaron Rodgers still hasn't signed, and DK Metcalf is a lone person left. So that is reality. But first, before I get more into this, however, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, let's go all the way back to last season. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Russell Wilson in free agency. The Pittsburgh Steelers have George Pickens on the roster. And alongside all the other wide receivers that are basically on the roster right now. And we've seen how that season unfolded. Well, in this offseason, they got rid of Russell Wilson and we're looking to bring in another quarterback. And that quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. Bring in a veteran and swap them out. So, on top of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking to trade for DK Metcalf because they seen the wide receiver core that they had the previous season and were like, no, we need more playmakers. So that's what they did. They went out and even though they didn't sign Aaron Rodgers yet, they traded for DK Metcalf because they wanted to add another playmaker to this team because they said in their press conference that playmakers win football games. Offense win football games now. That's what Omar Khan said in his press conference. So you thought things were going to be different this offseason. And you thought that the reality was going to be DK Metcalf, George Pickens, Aaron Rodgers, and a high-flying offense. But no, that just hasn't checked out. Because none of that has happened. Aaron Rodgers doesn't know if he wants to play football anymore. He still hasn't signed months. And we're already into rookie minicamp, just past it. So, is that going to happen? Who knows? But also, DK Metcalf is basically just replacing George Pickens. Because you added DK Metcalf next to George Pickens because you wanted multiple playmakers. Well, no, that's not the case anymore. Because DK Metcalf is basically just swapping positions with George Pickens, and George Pickens was shipped out. So, they obviously like DK Metcalf more, and George Pickens is gone, and now instead of having a high-flying offense, now you're just left with DK Metcalf, a fast wide receiver, a big wide receiver, and he's going to have to do it by himself. So, that's the reality of the situation. That's exactly what happened this offseason. And when looking at that, it just doesn't make sense how this all has shaped out this far. Because even if the Pittsburgh Steelers are waiting on Aaron Rodgers, you make moves to your roster to put you in the best position for the upcoming season. And is that really having DK Metcalf just being swapped out for George Pickens? Because you basically gave up a second round pick and just got a third round pick back for the wide receivers you swapped. And also, on top of that, you gave up a contract in which was $30+ million a year. So basically, you made a move that costed you a draft pick. And on top of that, you still have no quarterback. And how do you expect to compete when you have no quarterback? And the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing business unusual this offseason. They're actually waiting for a quarterback, waiting for a player to dictate their whole season, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Because where did we get to the point where we're waiting on a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers to see if we're going to be able to compete this season? Or is that what we're really doing? We're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to decide if he actually wants to play football. And if he doesn't, then we're stuck with whatever we have. And we didn't make no moves. We still have a lot of cap space. And we didn't do nothing with it because we're just waiting on Aaron Rodgers. You could have went out and signed a different quarterback. Went out and traded for a quarterback. Went out and drafted a quarterback. Went out and made other moves to this roster But instead, you're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. You're waiting on him to dictate your season. And if he does sign, then you're ready to compete. But if not, then you're stuck with the roster you have. And you still have so much cap space that you didn't spend, because you're just waiting on the $30 million that Aaron Rodgers will potentially make. So the Pittsburgh Steelers' expectations versus reality this offseason has just been all over the place. And now it's starting to settle in that we're just not ready to compete with this offense. This defense, however, yes, we could compete with this defense. But this offense, in what way did we get better? We've seen the Pittsburgh Steelers struggle last season to put up points, once again, year after year. So what did we do this offseason that really changes that? Nothing. Yes, we got a rookie running back. Yes, maybe the offense line has another year to develop with each other. Yes, we traded for DK Metcalf, but we shipped out George Pickens. So did this offense really get better? You have to think about that. Because right now, as it stands, I believe it only got worse. But the Pittsburgh Steelers added to their defense. Shout out to Mike Tomlin over Con. They knew their offense had no chance to compete because they don't have no quarterback, they don't have no playmakers that are top tier, but they added to their defense, adding to the defense line, adding to their linebacking crew, and things of that nature. So they added to their defense and bulked up on their defense because they know that that defense is not to carry the Steelers if they want any chance of making the playoffs, having a chance to compete. So that was expectations versus reality. But the reality of the situation is more defense, more defense, more defense, and less offense. We thought things were going to change because Omar Khan said that offense is becoming the thing in the NFL, but no. Offense just got worse, and the defense got better. So that's the Pittsburgh Steelers football and way of doing things, and it continues this offseason. And to be honest, it's a shame because when DK Metcalf was traded for and added to this roster, it would have been nice to see how DK Metcalf and George Pickens can work off one another, how they can make each other get better. Can DK help George develop? Can George help DK get more open? Because now there's number one receivers on both sides of the field, and now defenses are going to have to concentrate more on both players, so they won't have to get double teamed, more space, and maybe Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster type of situation in terms of the yardage. So it's a shame that we never got to see that on the field, because when those two players were both on the roster at the same time, it would have been nice to see it play out, at least for a little bit. Play out until maybe the trade deadline, and then maybe make a move and trade away George Pickens and get a draft pick back. But no, we didn't even get to see them on the football field together, see what they're capable of together. We didn't get to see any quarterback, even in OTAs, throw the football to them. We didn't even get to see it in OTAs and training camp. It would have been nice to see that, but no. The reality situation is, it's basically the same roster as last season, but worse on the offense. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're making moves, but are they really making moves to compete this season? Well, Beanie Bishop, Peyton Wilson, on their little podcast or their little show together, they say the Pittsburgh Steelers are making moves to make them better for the future. So does that future include this season? Probably not. Are we ready to compete for a Super Bowl this season? Probably not. So it's for the future. The draft is in Pittsburgh next season. I guess they didn't want to mess up their comp picks and go out and sign a different quarterback and kind of mess with that. So they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers because he won't affect the formula. But that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing. They're going out and making all the basic moves so they could keep their draft picks for the Pittsburgh draft. But anyway, that's the end of this video. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on the reality of the situation. Do you like what the Steelers are doing this offseason? Do you not like what they're doing? And how do you feel that we went from expecting Aaron Rodgers and a high-flying offense with George Pickens and DK Metcalf to basically just having Mason Rudolph and DK Metcalf on the roster? Did you expect things to be different? And how do you feel the Steelers are handling business? Do you like it? Do you not like it? They're my thoughts. And are we ready to compete for a Super Bowl this season? Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, and analysis reports. Everything surrounding this team I've covered this offseason, and I'll continue to do so as we move along in the offseason and more moves are made, hopefully. And also all the rumors as well. I'll cover all that. So make sure you stay tuned for everything Pittsburgh Steelers football on this channel. Subscribe, turn notifications, like the video. I'll see you guys all later. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.